So I made a video response to your video and some of your comments, and it was very long and very convoluted and touched on a number of subjects, and I have thought better of it after a night of sleeping and decided that I would break down the response into a series of videos, each focusing on a main point that would not only address your concerns but also be more generally applicable to society at large. And the first one I want to do is talk about the distinction between prescriptive and descriptive scientific theories, and specifically prescriptive and descriptive economics. Now, I think that there are merits to both theories, but there are also pitfalls, especially to prescriptive ones. So, for instance, as an example, Karl Marx said that from every man, from each according to his ability, to each according to his needs. Now, nowhere does this appear to be the case. In fact, there's probably literally nobody in the world who has ever given 100%. I think it's one of those things people say, give 100, give 110. I think it's something that's literally never true. Because to give 100% of your being, you would literally have to exhaust yourself to death. And even in the instances where people have more or less worked themselves to death, you could argue that they didn't do so perfectly efficiently, and so they didn't do it really 100%. So Marx's admonition, from each according to his ability, to each according to his need, is not descriptive. It is a prescriptive statement. It's something he would like to see. And this is very common in many schools of economics, not just the Marxists, but the Keynesians, the neoclassical, where they will say things like that they would like to see this. And the allegation that you've made, and one that is often made against the Austrians, is that they are prescriptive. That they are not describing reality, but they are concocting a hypothetical, constructed situation that has little connection to reality. It's perhaps it's a self-referential or an internally consistent but realistically inapplicable methodology or system. And this is, of course, wrong. The Austrians always have, going all the way back to Menger, explicitly grounded all their theories and analysis in the idea that they have to be applicable to reality. They have to work in reality. They have to be based in reality, and they have to describe reality. So when Mises, these axioms, these a priori axioms that are logically true, they describe reality, and you can argue that maybe they've gotten it wrong, maybe they've made a mistake here or there, although I think in the base level they haven't really. But you could argue that, but they certainly were attempting to be descriptive. Now this is in marked contrast to, say, the Venus Project or socialism or any kind of command central economy, especially one that says it's going to be resource-based and have no money. That's not descriptive of anything. That's a totally hypothetical situation that doesn't even work on its own logic. It's internally contradicted. But to criticize the Austrians for having this make-believe land when what you're advocating is makes no pretense of being grounded in reality is slightly ironic. But to take Mises's main axiom, the action axiom, which is that man acts, man works to obtain ends, and he uses means to obtain ends. Now this, you at one point in your video you acknowledge they use a priori assumptions, but you just dismiss them as ridiculous. I don't think the action axiom is ridiculous. In fact, if you were to attempt to refute it, you would be acknowledging you'd be affirming it, because to refute it is an action. No human, through anything he can do, can prove it wrong, because anything he would do would prove it correct. And that's the basic axiom, and there's others too. But it is a description of reality. Are you going to tell me that humans don't act? That humans, and this has nothing to do with determinism or free will. It's just humans are acting. The reasons why they act are never explained by Mises. He doesn't know. He says it's irrelevant, by the way. We just know that they are doing it. We can observe in reality that they act in this way. And you didn't refute that at all. You just said that it was ridiculous. You didn't specify which axioms, but you said that, in general, you said they're ridiculous, which I can only assume is to say you must think that the action axiom is ridiculous. The action axiom, of course, is not ridiculous. The time preference axiom is not ridiculous. The disutility of labor axiom is not ridiculous. They all make perfect sense, and they describe reality. And Austrians always strive to describe reality. Now, the way they do it is by delineating and describing what they would consider natural laws. It's like akin to Newton describing gravity. I mean, Newton could describe gravity and he could write it out as an equation or whatever on this chalkboard, and you could just allege that he's just making up some kind of theory that has no connection to reality, but he's getting the theory by looking at reality. It's the whole point. And eventually, I've seen where these arguments go is you'll make an economic argument, it's very convincing, and the utopian you're arguing against will not have any argument against it, but then just say that economics is a concocted lie invented by the bourgeoisie to justify exploitation of the workers or the lower class or whatever. This is, of course, silly. I'm certainly not a capitalist. Mises and Rothbard are not apologists for capitalism. For all rich people, they don't want to hurt the workers. Their reasoning is sound and logical, and to just say, well, I'm not going to refute it. I'm just going to say that I assume you have bad motives. Hence, anything you may have said is incorrect. As if they proposed 2 + 2 is 4, and you objected on the grounds that they have bourgeoisie logic. It just doesn't make any sense. This rests on the notion of polylogism, which is itself a nonsensical idea. There can't be multiple logics. I don't think you believe that, because you do attempt to use Aristotelian law of identity reasoning in some of your arguments. But yeah, Austrianism is a descriptive economics, descriptive of reality, not of some mythical, totally irrelevant set of make-believe laws. And I think that you're more or less unfamiliar with them. I think you know that they're out there, but you don't know much about them. So this is one point. There are many others, so I'll follow up in another video.